My name is Adela Voss. I am the coordinating director at a regional emergency preparedness office. I have been doing this work for 16 years, which means I have spent 16 years in rooms with people who believe preparedness work is administrative, forms and filing, the particular kind of organized waiting that the people in the dramatic roles do not take very seriously. I want to tell you about a training exercise that took place in March, and specifically about the person who was registered as the liaison attaché for the Northern District Medical Reserve. Her name on the registration form was Lieutenant Carson. Her identified role was Northern District Medical Reserve Liaison, a coordination function. She had signed in at the coordinating table at 7:45 in the morning. She had a clipboard. She had the standard issue radio. She had a seat at the secondary coordination table with the other district attachés. The exercise scenario was a Category 3 event, multi-district, multi-agency, 63 participating organizations, simulated mass casualty with compound infrastructure failure. It is the largest exercise we run. 18 months of preparation, 112 observer roles. What I am about to describe happened during the 3-hour window from 9 to noon. At 9:04, the Medical Reserve radio channel flagged a notation I did not recognize. I was at the primary coordination board. I looked it up during a pause in the action flow. The notation was a call-out code for a specialized triage protocol, a code I had not included in the exercise design. I flagged it as a discrepancy for the exercise debrief. At 9:22, Lieutenant Carson made a request at the secondary table to modify the medical supply routing in the exercise scenario. She said the current routing had a conflict with the Northern District Hospital capacity model. She had paperwork. She presented it to the secondary table administrator, who reviewed it for 4 minutes and approved the modification. At 9:50, I walked past the secondary table and saw that she had added a third column to her working document. She was tracking the medical scenario, the infrastructure scenario, and a third set of notations I did not recognize. She was doing this simultaneously, on paper by hand. I stopped. I asked her what the third column was. She said, secondary effect tracking. The current exercise scenario had not modeled the Northern District power grid failure as a compound variable with the hospital routing. She had been modeling it since 9:07. She showed me the document. She had been in the room for 1 hour and 17 minutes. I looked at her for a moment. I said, "How long have you been running your own parallel scenario track?" She said, "Since the initial brief." I said, "The initial brief was at 7:50. She said, "Yes." The exercise concluded at noon. At the debrief session that afternoon, 2 of the 3 items she had flagged in her third column were confirmed as scenario modeling gaps. Gaps our team had not caught in 18 months of preparation. The third item was a regional protocol ambiguity that she had identified by cross-referencing 2 separate district frameworks and finding an inconsistency. I filed her registration form under the coordinating director's discretionary file. I wrote a note at the bottom that said, Northern District Medical Reserve Liaison, Lieutenant Carson, parallel scenario tracking beginning initial brief, recommending review of secondary coordination table function scope. The note took me about 4 minutes to write. My name is Adela Voss. I have been in preparedness work for 16 years. I have sat in a great many rooms with people who did one thing. She was doing 4.